Stay tuned to the end of today's episode so that I can introduce you to our newest podcast. Do you have any great anecdotal stories of people who maybe use this as a launching pad for other success for themselves?
I can't sit here and say that anybody's gone on to greatness or glory. At the end of the day, we're still 15, 20 handicaps. There isn't much else out there like this. But back in the 90s, someone made a 10-foot putt to win a condo. I think one year a woman pulled out on the 18th hole of the championship to win by 1. We've got 7 guys who have played all 40 years. They've never missed a single year.
Hi, this is Mark Kennedy from Windsor in the UK, and I play at the Hainault Forest Golf Club. This is Golf Smarter number 885.
The World Am is the Everyman's U.S. Open, and they're open for registration with Tournament Director Scott Tomasella.
This is Golf Smarter, sharing stories, tips, and insights from great golf minds to help you lower your score and raise your golf IQ. Here's your host, Fred Green.
Welcome to the Golf Smarter podcast, Scott.
Oh, thanks for having me, Fred.
It's good to have you on because this is something I know nothing about, so I'm excited to learn a lot today. Why don't you just go ahead and introduce what the World Amateur Handicap Championships.
Yeah, and if you want the full name, it's the PlayGolfMyrtleBeach.com Myrtle Beach World Amateur Handicap Championship. How's that for
.com?
Correct. Yeah, we'll do what the press and the media do is they shorten it just to simply the World Am. That's what it is. So
the World Am.
Yes, the World Am is much easier to say because it's very well recognized here in the golf capital of the world, Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. This is going to be our 40th anniversary of the event, which is kind of the every person's U.S. Open. So if you're a golfer, but you're not quite that tour level, or if you're even just a beginner or a 30 handicap who loves the game of golf, this is the event you need to be at. It makes you feel like a PGA Tour player. And it's just a lot of fun. 4 rounds of golf in Myrtle Beach. A lot to do, a lot to take in. If you've never been, you have to see it to believe it, really.
Okay, so it's for the everyman. It's the U.S. Open for everybody. How does it work? Let's just start at the beginning.
Yeah, so let's just take the average golfer or just a hypothetical golfer who's 55 years old, who is a 10 handicap male. What we do is we take your index. You do have to have a GIN, a certified handicap. Let's say that person's a 10 index. They sign up and they get flighted based on those factors. So that person will be in our 50 to 59 division, in the male division. And then they would be in a flight that's dedicated to players of the same ability. So let's just say, and this is a generally realistic example, that flight would be from 9.5 to 10.5 index golfers. Because there are so many golfers here, the handicap ranges that you get flighted in are really small. So that you're really competing against people that are just like you. So we've got divisions that go from under 50 all the way up to 80 plus. We run the gamut. We also run the gamut in terms of handicap. So, the 36 golfer is not excluded. We've got a flight for people that are, I think last year was around 25 plus. And then we also have 2 other kind of fun divisions, which are the gross division, which is the super competitive, the no handicap division. And then we also have a just for fun division. So that division is flat out. We don't keep score. We don't care. Just go out, play, have fun. But whether you're playing competitively or not, everybody gets 4 rounds of golf guaranteed on one different golf course every single day. So we try to give you a little bit of everything around the area. And then everybody gets entered into the 19th hole each evening, where you let loose, kind of party, there's a lot to go into on that one. And then if you're good, if you play well, you get a chance to play a 5th round at this year will be Grand Dunes for the 5th round. So we'll call it the world's largest cut. Down from 3,300 players down to about 80 players. And from there, if you win that group, then you're the world champion. Did I do that all right? Did I sum it up for you?
Oh, overwhelmed with all these numbers here. Tell me more about the super competitive, which is not my style, but the super competitive, how does that one work?
Yeah, so the gross division is exactly as it is. If you don't want to play with a handicap, or if you're like a sub 5, if you did keep a handicap, that's a scratch division, which we have 3 of those for men and 1 for women. So under 50 50 to 60 and 60 plus for men, and then an open age bracket for women. The typical, it's a WAGR ranked tournament, so the typical winners shooting around par over 4 days. We'll get some former collegiate golfers, maybe some players who've won some mid-am, state-am, stuff like that. So it's technically the most competitive by ability, but I would say that those players take it just as seriously as some of our net players who are 15 handicaps. Everybody's there to win, and that's kind of why it's the Everyman's Open, is because even if you're a 20 handicap, you still feel like you're playing very competitive golf. It's not your member guest on the weekend at your club.
And then the other extreme is just the Just for Fun group.
Yeah, the Just for Fun is it's kind of catered to a few different people. Whether you're brand new at golf and don't want the intimidation factor, you can just go tee it up and you can play with your friends in that division. So if you've got some friends, maybe you create your own side game, or you've got a spouse that you want to play with them, or you really just came down to enjoy Myrtle Beach golf, which is great. And then maybe a lot of our first-time players play in that division because once they feel comfortable, they'll switch over to the competitive side just to get a feel for what it's like here. Because golf can be intimidating, but that's the best part about it is, some people are here to win, some people are here just to get their feet wet. What we care about most is whether you finish in first or last place. Did you have a good time? Did you enjoy yourself? Did you get to see the beaches? Did you get to go shopping, enjoy some of our restaurants? Because the price is just unbeatable when it comes to tournament golf.
Okay, so this is really a promotion for Myrtle Beach golf more than anything.
It is. You're correct. So our organization, Golf Tourism Solutions, is existent to bring tourism to this area. So we want you to come into town. We try to keep the entry fee as low as possible so that you can then go out and decide how you want to spend the rest of your vacation.
Right.
We are a tourism board of sorts, for lack of a better word. So we don't really care where you stay or what hotels, where you play golf. We just want you to get here, experience it, so that maybe this can be a staple on your calendar every single year. And for all we know, there are lots of those participants who come back year after year, even when they thought the first year was kind of a bucket list and maybe that was just a one-time thing. But nope, they tend to get hooked.
Really? That's awesome. So let's just say, how many golf courses are you guys using if you have, 3,200 participants?
Yep. So great question. We use about 55 courses throughout the entire week. And then generally we're using about 33 courses per day simultaneously. So one of the key questions that we get is, what courses am I going to play? There's so many listed on your website. Where am I going to play? And what we tell most people is we try to give you one in each geographic region of the beach. So one north, one south, one central, and then we'll call the last one a wild card. And then in terms of quality also, we try to make sure that you've got, and I don't like to say there's any D courses out here per se, but just to make it easy, we try to give you one top level A course, a B, C, and a D. Now, again, I don't think there are any D courses out here, but just to make it easy in terms of understanding, we want to make sure you get one really great course. And then, of course, we want to make sure that, no matter who you are, whether you're a good golfer or a bad golfer, you get the same quality of courses no matter what flight you land in. So like if you and I were both playing in different sets, we would want you to be arguing about who got the better rotation. It should be a question mark, and you should be bragging about which courses you got, but it'd be a good argument at the end of the week.
I actually think that you should have the country club players who are used to it and are low index. They should play the crappy courses. They should play the ones with the most rocks, with the sand, the bunkers that are just like chunky sand, because, let's see what these guys do I always felt like little leaguers. Why do they have to play little league baseball on these fields that have rocks on it and the ball's taking weird bounces and hitting them in the head? They're little kids. Yeah. And that's the fields that the pros should play on. If they're that good, let them play on where there's, instead of these pristine places.
Yeah, I live about that too sometimes, because when I play a course with great greens, I know exactly what I'm doing wrong, and it's kind of alarming that, hey, yeah, I kind of want people to shift it right on the line. Maybe I do want it to hit a rock, put it back on track. Right,
the way I'm used to. Do you incorporate any private courses in the area? Are you using private courses? Or are these all public?
They're all public. we used to have a couple of private clubs in the mix, like the Dunes Club we used to use for our championship round. The thing about Myrtle Beach Golf is that we're very tourist friendly. So I'm just ballparking it here, of the 80 or so golf courses in our area, maybe 6 of them are private or semi-private. So we're very tourist friendly. We don't have a lot of member specific golf courses because that's kind of what Myrtle Beach is all about. Very inclusive, no matter your ability, age, gender, or anything like that.
Awesome. Listen, we're going to take a time out and we'll be back right after this. Give me some history here. How long has this been going on? How did it get started? And how has it grown? Those 3 questions, you can just riff on it. You got a lot of time to go.
Yeah, so it started in 1984, and it was originally founded by Golf Digest and some other partners that, still to this day, we are about the tourism business here in Myrtle Beach. Late August, which is when the event is every year, was always kind of a shoulder season between when the kids go back to school and maybe the golf business in our area was not exactly, booming. So it's always existed to try to pump that tourism up at a time of year where we could utilize some extra rounds of golf on the tee sheets. And, I think the first year we had 684 players in the very first edition. And that was fantastic, I think. And then over the years, it's just kind of casually grown to over 3,000 players. I think we hit 3,000 after the first 5 years, give or take. And for 30 plus years, it's kind of hovered between anywhere from 3,000 to 4,000 participants. Of course, with the boom in the Tiger era, it was really high. And so it's just kind of stayed steady with the amount of players that have come through the ranks here. But we've always stayed true to the mission of trying to keep the entry fees low in order to get you into town and just see what Myrtle Beach is about. Because, a lot of people don't know about Myrtle Beach if you're from the West Coast, or you don't know how easy it is to get here or how valuable of a destination it is. We're one of the best buddies trips in the country, in our opinion, and the prices are very reasonable across town. So we just want as many people to know about it and try to get yourself on a plane and come see us.
Okay, so I am coming from the West Coast. I'm not planning on playing in your event, but I do buddy trips, and I need to convince my buddies, one in Chicago, another one here in California. How do I convince them we should be meeting in Myrtle Beach?
So we just signed up with Southwest to have, I want to say, 10 nonstop destinations, bag flight free on Southwest. So great partnership with them. We have nonstops as far west as Dallas, Denver, Chicago. So we've got a lot of nonstops just across the Mississippi. But even if you're, Salt Lake or LA, we've got one-stop destinations through Charlotte or through Atlanta. So it's not as far as a lot of people think. And we've got, with those route networks between Southwest, Spirit Airlines, and American, I mean, it's not that difficult to hop on a plane. And, I like to joke with people, and not to down any other destinations, but, there are certain places out west that you can't play one round in one night that you could get 3 nights and 3 rounds here at Myrtle Beach. So it might be a little farther to get to, but when you get here, it's going to be a lot more valuable and similar quality golf.
Okay, now you really captured my attention. Keep going on that price point. You're talking about like playing one course on the West Coast.
So let's give you the World Am for an example. The World Am is $599 for the early bird entry fee. And when you get here, you're going to get 4 rounds of golf guaranteed. You're going to get open bar and free food for 4 straight nights for yourself and a guest if you have one. You're going to get a gift bag that's filled with a polo, pullover, towel, hat, about $300 worth of retail goods. And then if you're good, or even if you're not good, there's about $150,000 worth of randomly drawn items to be given away. So we've got great partners in the PGA Tour Superstore who help out with that. But, I implore people, if you find a better value tournament on this planet, I need to see it, because I don't think it exists.
Now, you're doing this in August?
Correct. It's always the week before Labor Day. Yep. So this year's event dates are August 28th to September 1st. We always do it that Monday through Thursday before Labor Day weekend.
And what's the weather like in Myrtle Beach in late August? I'm not very good with humidity because I live in California, so I don't do well with the humidity. it would knock me out.
It does get a little hot. Like I said, it's kind of that shoulder season of when the kids are going back to school. So it's still summer. We tend to have some afternoon showers here and there, but we try to avoid that. So every morning we've got 8:30 a.m. shotguns. So we try to beat the heat and get out there before the rain could come in the early afternoon. So we still understand that. Yes, that's why the World Am kind of lends itself to a lot of participants from Florida, from Texas, who are actually escaping maybe some even warmer weather. But we love our friends north of the border too. We've got a great relationship with the Canadian Golf Associations, and people come from all over. Every year we have over all 50 states represented, so they don't really care what the weather is like back home. They just need to be here.
People come from outside of the United States as well?
Yes, sir, of course. So we've got, I think last year we had about 26 foreign countries represented. Wow. One of our biggest countries outside of Canada, which is kind of obvious there. Outside of Canada, we've got a lot of players from Portugal, Mexico, Brazil. Those are some of our highest contingents from outside of the country. And I know there's a few players every year from Australia.
I would put the UK up on that list too.
I would have too, but I surprisingly, they're not that high on the list. I think there's a lot of great golf in the UK and not a lot of time frame in the year for golf. And August is one of those months. So it's tough to pull people from countries where they don't have a big window, and that's their window, right?
Oh, okay. That makes sense. So I'm my late 60s, and I'm hovering around, let's say, around the single digit area, back and forth, kind of sliding back and forth in and out of single digit. How many people would I be competing against, and what division would I be part of?
Sure. So I'll give you last year as an example of where you would be. Every flight is approximately 50 players. So we break them up into groups of 50. You would be in the 60 to 69 men's net division. And if you were, let's just say, a 9 handicap, last year, that division of 50 players was 8.5 to 9.0. So not even a full shot for 50 players of those similar abilities within half a shot. And from there, you do still compete net, but with such a small range, that might be a difference of 1 to 2 shots against another player throughout the course of 4 days. So
play your game.
Very tight-knit. You're one of our most popular demographics in terms of who plays in this event. That's why that range is so small.
And how many people would be in that group? How many guys would I be competing against?
That would be 50 players. So ultimately you would want to be...
The whole course would be...
Yeah, so we put 2 flights on each golf course. So 100 total players on the golf course. Each flight has 50 players. Last year there were 62 flights, I believe. So you would make up... last year that would have been flight 27 and 28. We just number them straight down the way. Mm-hmm. And if you are the winner of that flight of 50 players, you get the chance to play on Friday after the cut, down from 3,200 players down to about 70 or 80 players. Those winners all get to advance to play against each other for the chance to have that world champion crowned.
Okay. Another quick timeout. We'll be right back. This is our second week of the Tony Manzoni series to start your new golf season. Thanks so much for your emails of support and enthusiasm for continuing to share Tony's work. Now, I'm not sure if you're aware, but thanks to Golf Smarter ambassador Jeff Watson, I was reminded that Tony was one of the founders of Callaway Golf and had created a signature putter that I actually found on eBay and is now in my collection. This week, Tony goes beyond swing mechanics with an episode we call To Achieve Success, Make Sure Your Intention Matches Your Performance.
If you love the game like I do and you want to improve, and the beautiful part about this whole concept is you can do it from your chip shot to your drive. It's the same exact concept. You are connected at the left arm and you rotate your body through the target and it pulls the club through. The club can't turn over and you're going to hit really wonderful shots.
That's Golf Smarter Mulligans, episode 201, number 2 of 9, featuring our friend and mentor, Tony Manzoni. Check the show notes to learn how to get Tony's book, The Lost Fundamental, One Simple Move, Better Golf Forever, and gain access to his video of the same name. Please subscribe for free to our sister podcast that revisits the best of the Golf Smarter podcast, called Golf Smarter Mulligans, being released every Friday from wherever you're listening right now. Back in 2016, I did an episode 558 with a young man named Justin Krybeck. And he should have known about this. This would have been good for him because he knew he wanted to play in some sort of national open, but he wasn't good enough. He was a 19 handicap, so he knew he wasn't good enough. So he did some research. He ended up playing in the North Korean Open. He snuck into North Korea and played in the North Korean Open. And it's a story that, like, we kind of broke the story years after he did it, because after he finished, he came back where he was living in San Francisco and went back to work and didn't tell anybody what he did that weekend.
Maybe because it was illegal? Can you even do that?
Well, he had a passport from a European country as well. His parents, and I think he was born in the Czech Republic or something, but he was able to. He flew to China, and then from China he spent a day or two, then flew to North Korea and played in their Open Championship. And the punchline is that he was one shot behind the leader, going into the last round, and kind of freaked out on the 18th hole because he wasn't sure what would happen if he won. So he had a quadruple bogey on the last hole to come in fourth place. But it's just an incredible story. He should have played in this. This would have made him much happier.
Way less likes in order to win a championship. I've never heard that story, but man, that's a golf tale for the ages.
Oh yeah. Oh, it's a great one. It was episode 558 back from 2016. Amazing. Do you have any great anecdotal stories of people who maybe something that happened during their round, or even that they use this as a launching pad for other success for themselves?
Yeah, I mean, over 40 years, you get hundreds of stories. I can't sit here and say that anybody's gone on to greatness or glory. At the end of the day, we're still 15, 20 handicaps. There isn't much else out there like this, but we do get a lot of stories just from exciting experience that happens over the years. And just some quick ones for you. Back in the 90s, someone made a 10-foot putt to win a condo here in the area. So I think one year a woman holed out on the 18th hole of the championship to win by one in the finals. There's just so many things that have happened. We try to have fun with it. It is a competition, but we've got 7 guys who have played all 40 years. They've never missed a single year. I wish I could talk to them every day and ask them their stories. Some of the more interesting and kind of taboo ones are the fact that we do scrutinize handicaps very, very particularly. So sometimes we have some very difficult conversations that are a necessary evil of the tournament. I won't go down that road, but I think it's key to know that our event cares deeply about the integrity of the tournament. And that can be bad news for some, but generally speaking, it's good news for the 99%. So I think that's important for someone to understand when they hear about that connotation, playing in member guests all the time, that, I can't win that thing. There's these people out there that they're always going to win because they're doing that thing. And we take that very seriously around here.
Well, good for you. I'm glad you're maintaining the integrity here. I want to hear more stories of what people won. I want to hear crazy stories of what people won.
Okay, so in 2019, I believe, we had a woman from Germany who qualified for one putt from 60 feet. And on her first attempt and only attempt, she made the 60-foot putt and took home $25,000.
Wow.
It was incredible. The crowd, I've never heard a louder roar. We had to ask if we could get paid in euros because she was from Germany. So I was a little afraid on that insurance policy to make sure they got paid out, I'll be honest. But everything shook out just fine. We've had a lot of good sponsors over the years, between golf.com, the PGA Tour Superstore. DuPont was a big one back in the day. That's what everybody kind of refers to. But also the real estate business was one where we had that person take home a condo. That same person who won a condo also won the World Championship one year. So maybe you could say that woman was the pathway to greatness. She's won a condo and the World Championship. Who else can say that?
That's pretty good. That's pretty good. Do you ever have like divisions for parents and children or family members who play together, siblings, things like that?
Yeah, so we have a sub competition. We call it the Corey Lemke competition. That's paying homage to Corey Lemke, who passed away, whose father and son played in the event for a long time. So we created a sub competition for parents and children and any sort of familial relationship to aggregate the scores into a 2-man event within the tournament. It's free to play in that event just because we wanted to pay homage to that family. So it's kind of a fun way, if you and I were father and son, we wouldn't be playing on the same courses because of the fact that we're not, the same age and ability. So we just combine the two scores and compare it to other fathers and sons. So we give out a prize that way. We actually have another event in the summer called Family Golf Week, which is specifically meant for that relationship. It's familygolfweek.com. You can check that out too. It's a great event. It's the world's largest familial tournament at 800 players, or about 400 teams participating in July here in Myrtle Beach.
familygolfweek.com.
That's it.
Okay. All right. So let's talk about registering, what it takes, where to go, what it costs, what you get.
Sure. Yeah. So myrtlebeachworldamateur.com. That's myrtlebeachworldamateur.com. Every participant gets 4 rounds of golf guaranteed, nightly interest to the 19th hole, which includes open bar, free food, live music. It's got a little mini PGA show for vendors and exhibitors, all sorts of games. Children are free with the paid adult. Chance to win tons of prizes. That entry fee is $5.99. Through March 23rd, you got some time for that early bird registration. But if you are a new participant out there listening, we've got a promo code for new players, Golf Smarter. That'll take $50 off that registration, whatever the current registration fee is at the time. Again, that's Golf Smarter for any new participants who've never yet played in the event.
Okay, and that's for the pre-registration or for any registration?
It'll take $50 off whatever the current entry fee is. Eventually, the price will jump up to $6.99, but currently we've got an early bird promotion going on that's $5.99.
Okay, so after March 23rd, so from March 24th on, it's $6.99. And what is the deadline for entry? Because people listen to podcasts much later too.
Yeah. So we typically close registration at the end of July. And the price won't go up actually before March 23rd. It'll increase later in the summer. But we have incentives pretty much all year long for a reason to get signed up early. So for right now, we're giving away, drivers and irons and all sorts of prizes as an incentive to sign up early. And then in April, we're going to give away 100 pairs of shoes, thanks to True Linkswear, if you sign up by, I want to say it's April 20th. So we've got all sorts of reasons to sign up other than price. The price will go up eventually, but a lot of people get signed up by March. But if you don't hear about this until August or late July, you can still get signed up then at the current entry fee.
Okay, so I just need to confirm what an amazing deal this is. So for the price that you've quoted, and if you've never registered before, you get $50 off with the coupon code or checkout code Golf Smarter, one word. You get all the golf, all your dinners, and your room.
Room is not. No, room is not.
Room is separate. Okay, that's what I need to make sure of. Okay,
that would be a little too good to be true.
That is way too good to be true. So you've got to have access to a lot of hotel rooms.
Yeah, so I'd say we have about 22,000 room nights spread across all the participants. So one of our partners in the Sheraton, which is where the 19th hole actually takes place, the 19th hole takes place at the Myrtle Beach Convention Center, which is about 100,000 square feet of just golf paradise. It's everything you could want. I'd like to say if you can't have fun at the 19th hole, you're just probably not a fun person in general. So, but the great thing is the Sheraton is attached to the convention center. So you can stay at the Sheraton, walk downstairs, have your spirits, have your food, and then walk right back up to your hotel room. And I want to say that the hotel rate for them is, $129 a night for World Am participants. So
that's still that's a great rate.
Yeah, 2 blocks from the beach, very centrally located, and you can just walk right down to the party every single night. So, yeah, but if you want oceanfront, we've got that. If you want a condo that suits the whole family, we've got that too.
So tell me exactly where Myrtle Beach is located in Florida, because I was recently in Florida. I went to the PGA show. I went to a wedding down
South Carolina. I'll jump in there. South Carolina.
Well, that's why it's not in Florida. Okay, so it's in South Carolina. So it's north of Florida, right?
Yes. Oh, yeah.
Yes. See how good my geography is? So we're in South Carolina. That's why
the Grand Strand is kind of another.
I'm sorry.
But the Grand Strand is kind of another name that we utilize here, and we're in the very northeast corner of South Carolina. So the Grand Strand kind of tips over into North Carolina. We run about 60 miles of coastline, all the way down to Pawleys Island area. So the very northeast corner of South Carolina, and then maybe a little bit into the southeast corner of North Carolina is where our golf courses go to. So, if you stay at the Sheraton, which is where a lot of people do, one of your golf courses might be 30 miles away, but most of them are in the 10 to 15 mile away range. And we try to make sure you see a little bit of everything. So like I said, you'll get one north, one south, one central, and then we'll call the other one a wild card. But you get to see a lot of the area. Another thing that, people really appreciate about our tournament is that if you've played 10 years, you might not have played the same golf course twice, which is insane to think about, but it's possible.
This crazy. Wow. Well, Scott, best of luck. Thanks so much for the information. I hope the success this year is even greater than you've ever experienced in the past.
Well, thank you, Fred. We look forward to seeing you guys in Myrtle Beach.
Did you happen to follow the PGA Tour this past weekend where Kurt Kitayama won his first PGA title at the Arnold Palmer Invitational? Now, I don't talk about PGA events, but what made this unique is that just before the event, Kurt fired his caddy of 4 years and hired Tim Tucker to be, and this is a quote from Golf Week at USA Today, a calming influence when Kitayama needed him most. Now, I bring this up for two reasons. One, Kitayama was a beast on the greens, and his lag putting, guided by Tucker, was spectacular. And two, Tim was featured 3 episodes ago in an episode we called Reading Greens Like a Pro Requires These 5 Things. Of course, I'm trying to get Tim back on the podcast to give us an inside view of how each round developed and played out. But I can imagine he's going to be busy for the rest of the golf season. I'll keep trying. But either way, congratulations to Tim and Kurt on the important victory. Again, Tim's putting tool is available at trueaimmarker.com, TRUEAIM, trueaimmarker.com. And to hear his story about the tool and how he approaches caddying at the highest level, he was on episode 882. I want to thank Mark Kennedy from Windsor in the UK. Mark wanted to learn more from Tony Manzoni, so he recorded today's show opening on his phone and sent it to me so that he can receive Tony's video, The Lost Fundamental, for free. You too can win a Golf Smarter gift and have a choice of which you'd prefer. And here's all you have to do. Send an email to golfsmarterpodcast@gmail.com and request our simple instructions to leave a voicemail at our toll-free Golf Smarter line. And when you do, you can choose a dozen balls with the Golf Smarter logo from Odin Golf, the golf brand that sponsors and pays everyday golfers. These tour-quality balls are a fraction of the price of what you'll usually pay, and when you use the code GolfSmarter at checkout, you'll receive an additional 20% off the order. Their link is in today's show notes. You also have the option to receive a new glove and glove storage compartment from redroostergolf.com. And, of course, you can also get a private online link to Tony Manzoni's video of the Lost Fundamentals. So please send an email and I'll get back to you with some instructions of what to do and what to say. Just write to golfsmarterpodcast@gmail.com or click on the Hey Fred button at golfsmarter.com. Now, before we go, I want to introduce you to a new podcast called In This Story with Joanne Green. This is my wife's new show in which she shares short, most or less than 4 minutes, micro essays set to music, showcasing tales and observations of her animated life. Joanne's book, By Accident, A Memoir of Letting Go, is coming out this June. It's now available for pre-order at your favorite online booksellers. Actually, I'm in the book a lot. So when we get to episode 900 this June, which is actually scheduled to be the same day as the book's released, I'm going to have Joanne on to share stories about me and our life so that you get to know us each a little bit better. So to build momentum for its release, she's publishing these podcast episodes every other Friday. You'll definitely recognize her voice as she's who you hear opening Golf Smarter and Golf Smarter Mulligans episodes. Check out her website at joanne-green.com. That's Joanne with a dash or hyphen, GREENE.com, joanne-green.com. Please follow her from wherever you're listening right now. Now, there are 2 available episodes already, and here's the first one called I Shared a Cigarette with Jane Fonda.
In this story, I share a cigarette with Jane Fonda. I'm Joanne Green. In 1977, the new film starring Jane Fonda was Julia. It's about the writer Lillian Hellman's lifelong friendship with Julia, a wealthy American who fought against the Nazis when they invaded the university she was attending in Vienna. I worked at KRE Radio in Berkeley, and it was rare for me to land an interview with an A-level celebrity. The publicist had instructed me to meet Ms. Fonda at the Stanford Court Hotel on Nob Hill in San Francisco. Jane Fonda was not only an actress at the time, but a major anti-war activist and environmentalist, and that's what gave her hero status for me. I was nervous as I knocked on the door of her suite. 23-year-old me about to interview Jane freaking Fonda. She answered the door herself, wearing jeans and a sweater, like a normal person. Whoa. I'd expected a staff, or at least a personal assistant. She seemed to be alone as she welcomed me in so warmly, it was like we were longtime friends. The space was gorgeous, but stiffly formal, with silk-upholstered Louis XIV-style furniture in various beige tones. I got the sense that she'd be more comfortable in a big burgundy velvet armchair. As soon as we sat down and I started setting up my cassette player and microphone on the mahogany end table, she asked, "Joanne, do you by any chance have a cigarette?" "Actually, I do," I said, flabbergasted that she needed something from me. "Would you mind if we shared one? I barely smoke and I don't buy my own, but every now and then, like just right now, I want to have a few puffs." "Happy to," I said, pulling my pack of Marlboros out of my purse. It was the hard pack I loved, at least at that moment in my smoking life, somewhere between the Anthony and Cleopatra skinny cigar phase and my brief run with mentholated cools before finally quitting in 1980. But I digress. We shared a cigarette, which I lit with a match before smelling the sulfur, a habit I maintain to this day. It smells so good. It was like 2 high school girls sneaking a cig before class. With every puff, I tried not to physically pinch myself. Am I really here in an extravagant San Francisco hotel suite, chit-chatting with the Jane Fonda? "One more thing," she said before I hit record to start the actual interview. "Can this cigarette be our secret? I have a reputation to uphold." "Absolutely," I said. "But for sure, the statute of limitations is up by now. Don't you think?" Here's the feature that ran on KRE Radio of my interview with Jane Fonda.
The film Julia, due to open in San Francisco on November 17th, is one chapter in the life of playwright Lillian Hellman. Jane Fonda portrays Lillian, who in the film has a tough time integrating her success and fame with her political ideals.
The story is about a woman who is Jewish at the time of the rise of Nazism. And the indecision comes about whether she is going to go into Nazi Germany on a mission where if she was caught, she would probably be killed. Now, it's all well and good for me to say, I sort of make decisions very quickly. I'm not Jewish, and this isn't 1935 Europe. And if I were confronted with those kind of things, I don't know how I would react.
Yet clearly Jane Fonda has risked her reputation to speak out for what she believes in.
Not my life. There are people in this country who have risked their lives, and they're never heard about, and they're not famous, and they should be. And in that sense, I identify with Lillian. Creatures of the media, created into things that, her career was not destroyed by the 50s. My career was not destroyed. I have more privilege than people should have, than anyone should have. I earn more money than anyone has a right to earn. And the people who are truly courageous are either unknown. Some of them are dead. They've been destroyed. They've been run out of the country, or they're in jail.
On November 17th, 2 opening shows of the film Julia at the Metro Theater in San Francisco will benefit California Public Policy's development of solar energy. Details on the SolarCal proposal upcoming on Kaleidoscope. I'm Joanne Rosenzweig for KRE Public Affairs.